So Parashat Vayishlah, Yom Sheni, part 2. אבל טוב נקלה. So, דלה להזיל après des Sarah, like we said, it is better a man that has no esteem on himself, right, and does not follow the Sarah, and does not think of himself as someone that is so important, but in the contrary, think that he's not important, and he gives all the importance to Hashem, not to himself. And all his heart and all his will, everything is just towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then what happens? Yetzer Hara becomes his servant. That means when Yetzer Hara sees that he does not succeed by making this man feel so important, then in reality, who doesn't feel important is important. How we could say that. And who thinks is important is not important, right? So the opposite. So this man thinks it's not important, but in reality it's very important. Because by thinking that, he has now control and dominance on the Yetzer Hara, and Yetzer Hara becomes his servant. And man now has power on him. And you will have power over him. Like Hashem said about the Nachash. מתכבד כמה דאמרה הוא אוקיר גרמי מסרצה בשרה לגאי ברוחי והוא חסר לכם חסר מהימנותה כמה דעת אמר לחם אלוקיו וגומר לחם אלוהיהם הם מקריבים וגומר. He says, and when we say here that someone that honors himself, that means someone that gives honor to himself, right? And that chasar lachem and misses bread. What do we say that misses bread? What is the expression? He says, because we know when we bring the korbanot were also brought with lechem, with bread. And also lechem is a name that we give to the Shekhinah. And we bring the korbanot with the lechem, with the bread, because the goal of the korbanot was to unite Kushcha Berichu Ushchinte and the Shekhinah. So lechem is the Shekhinah. So one that has no lechem means that has no there's no place for the Shekhinah to be with him. So he's without lechem, without Shekhinah. דבר אחר טוב נקלה, דבר אחר טוב נקלה בעבד לו. דיעקב דמחי חלוכי לגבי דעשיו. יגדל בתר ויעבד לו, וישלוט עליו, ויתקיים בי. יעבדוך עמים, ישתחוו לך לאומים. He says, and another explanation, he says, Yaacov, that brought himself down in front of Esav. He says, why? Because he knew that after he will dominate and will have power over Esav. And the brachot will be realized, like one of the brachot was, Yavducha amim, ishtachavucha lecha leumim, that the people will serve you, and all the people will also bow to you. But Yaakov knew that this was not the time. The time had not come yet. So that's why he said it's not the time. So he brought himself down to Esav. אלא בגין יסלק ליעקב לבטר יומיה, ועדה חווה מיד נקלה, ובטר ההוא דאיהו מתכבד, יעבד לו, ההוא דאיהו חסר לחם, יעבדה להוא דאהבו לערוב, דגן ותירוש. He said, but in reality all these berachot were realized in Yaakov. Because Yaakov knew also that these berachot were going to be fully realized at the end of times. And that's why in front of Esav, he was very humble. And Esav, which was a man that had so much so much ga'ava, we know that he's the one that we call chasar lachem, that it has no bread. And again, bread is the Shekhinah. So the one that has no bread will finally bow in front of the one that had the beracha of Rov Dagan v'Tirosh, that he will have a lot of Dagan and Tirosh, I mean wine, and Dagan is all the Seorah, all the abundance, we'll say. Okay? Tachaze, Ada begin de Yada Yaakov de Stachichle, Hashta itapach le Nikle. You don't come and see, because Yaakov knew that now he needed Esav. So for him, he acted like someone that is very humble, that has no esteem in himself. ויותר חוכמה והקימו אהבה בדה, בחולמה דאהבה דגבי עשיו. In reality, he acted with a lot of wisdom. He didn't do it because he was afraid of him. He did it because he knew that he had to do this now to get later. And the same thing as a man also does that for Yetzer Hara, that he makes himself humble so he'll have control about the Yetzer Hara after that. Because if Esav would have realized that, he would have killed Yaakov on the spot. But everything was done with wisdom. And he says that's what he said, that Hashem will give power to his kingdom. What does that mean? The kingdom of Hashem is when a man think of himself as someone that is not important. So not important. Why? Because in reality we are not important. A man that thinks is important takes room from the presence of Hashem. I mean, in a way, pushes out Hashem to have space for himself. And this we're not supposed to do. That's why Hashem is also called space. One of the name of Hashem in Hebrew is Makom. He's Makom. He's the one. He's the one that takes place. He's the one that has everything. When someone wants to come and be there, then it's not his place. It's not his Makom. The Makom is of Hashem. The same thing as we're talking physically, there's something as it is inside the person. Inside the person, we have to give Makom to Hashem. The Makom, I mean, the whole place should be for Hashem, and not for any type of feelings of superiority, of someone thinks that he's intelligent, or that he's good looking, or he's successful. All this, in reality, is not a place, it's emptiness. Hashem Amen.